Okay, TonyScapone back here with some Black Saga Storm, and we at this point have really come to what I'd like to say is it's got to be at the end of the fine-tuning process. I don't feel as though we need to change anything. We really have our bases covered. It's really been a process trying to figure out some of the finer ending details. The Mycosynth Gardens obviously is a little TMG. The latest addition to the deck, and I think it is slotted in. Um, Honestly, I think this deck enjoys this card more than certainly any of the Storm decks I've made, any of the Storm decks I've seen either. Um, I don't know, I can't really speak on other fair decks. It's such a wild card, who knows where it's going to go. But in this deck in particular, because I'll start by saying the issue I have in the Epic Gamble with this card is a number of things, right? It's really fighting for soul lands, which you see less of in this deck. You're looking to power out Defense Grid, Monolith. You really need that +2 mana, right? And when you think about it, TMG is only +3 mana when copying LED. I say only, right? But it's only one more than a soul land, right? So it's not often that you use this turn 1 to copy a Lion's Eye Diamond. And when you do, at best, at least in the Epic Gamble, you're just getting one more than a city, right? And in that deck, I know I'm talking about the Epic Gamble, but I will come around, I promise. Um, in that deck, you're spinning the wheel a bunch, you're relaying, and another problem that comes up is that's your land drop, right? You've now shuffled it back into your deck. You have no land drop, and you have a chance of drawing it now. Uh, that deck likes the exile Simian Spirit Guides and exile cards with Chrome Mox that it doesn't want to redraw and play out defense grids that it doesn't want to redraw. You don't want to shuffle it back into your deck. On top of that, when you relay or when you echo pass, you now don't have a land drop. So now actually, the next turn, had it been an Ancient Tomb, it'll be tapping twice, total of 4, and it actually beats the Mycosynth Gardens. On top of that, there's no other modality that the Epic Gamble offers for this card. This deck, however, totally different story, right? I mean, listen, are there times where, so this card slotted in the third swamp and ultimately the 14th land. We were teetering on 13 and 14. I didn't love 14, but now that this card offers modality and can copy baubles, we can justify it, right? So, uh, two Mycosynth Gardens, effectively in place of one swamp, you could say, I like to think of this as like a 0.4 colored source, right? For this deck, probably a bit higher, because we don't necessarily need that black source right off the rip, or we have it from another source, whether it be Opal, whether it be Chromox. Um, it's just it slots in a lot better in this deck. And I mentioned the bauble, and I can't stress that enough. It is slow, right? Um, when you copy a bauble, it's tapped, and when you bauble, you do have to tap it. So you have to copy it and wait a turn, and then you activate it, and obviously bauble comes off a turn later. But when you're in the spot where it's just so huge that, like, one of the big things about sagas and the part of the engine of this deck is in the event that you fizzle, you have too much mana, you don't have action, you have too much action, you don't have enough mana, you have action, you need discard because they're to hit their force of wills, and you're waiting for whatever it may be, right? Blue decks have cantrips. They can filter through their deck. This deck doesn't have that. What this deck has is that a number of the cards are modal, right? Your action can be mana. This can copy mana and become mana. It can copy protection and become protection. Obviously just all tutors, that's the nature of tutors, right? But they're expensive, right? Saga, however, obviously very modal. It's a mana in and of itself. It makes dudes, which also can convert into, Cabal Therapy flashbacks, right? Not as, not, it comes up often enough. Um, More often than not, it's getting Lion's Eye Diamond, it's getting Shadow Spear for our constructs, but also when we're just out of gas, or when we need that other mana, action, protection, whichever one we're missing, it converts into a bauble. And when you draw land and you go, shit, I didn't need mana, I didn't need lands, I have enough lands, and you have a Saga in play, or you bobble and you draw two cards. If you draw this alongside a bobble, it's so awesome that it can cantrip. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. It comes up a ton, a lot, a lot. Uh, you can't copy, as it says, tokens. You can only copy non-token artifacts, right? But you can copy creatures, so you can copy Haywire Might, which is nice. Um, you can copy Needle, but doesn't do anything. Doesn't come in with a name on it. You can copy Spellbomb, which is kind of relevant. Um, but yeah, it's just been really good for the deck. And I have come back to the Cabal Ritual. The two Cabal Rituals are just too solid. What's another thing? You can now, if you copy LED, if you copy Bobble, whatever, it's another card going to the graveyard. Our graveyard fills up very quickly for this card. It's very good. We run two because you can find the other one with Infernal Tutor, and because it's just kind of a good number to have for this deck. Oops, I don't know why that popped up. But yeah, I mean, I know we talked about the Burning Wish at this point enough. We talked about it ad nauseum, lol. Um, yeah, I think the last video you saw was the top 8 in the challenge, and it had Inventor's Fair, which I was just kind of testing. It's cute. It's not bad in this deck. The 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 tutoring lines with it are very costly, and more often than not, it was just kind of a land that it was nice that it was gaining life, and you know. But ultimately, I think the Mycosynth Gardens is just that much better. So the most recent changes are uh, we've added a second Chrome Mox. We've added two Mycosynth Gardens. So +1 Chrome Mox, +2 Mycosynth, and -1 Swamp, -1 Duress, -1 Bobble. That's where those numbers have come from. And I'm really sold on the two Chrome Mox. When I initially was playing this deck, I had three. It was obviously too much, but I really wanted that power level in the opening hand, so we wound up going down to two. And then for a while, we were just on one. One for the Saga situation where you really need a permanent mana source off of Saga. You already have Opal, or you don't have Metalcraft for the Opal, or you're trying to get Hellbent for Infernal Tutor. You definitely want at least one of these, but I will say two, I think, is better. It makes our Adna smoother. It increases, when I say increases the power level of the opening hand, what I'm saying is, and one of the top level plays that this deck can make, and what I think is a top level play for this format, is opening up with discard and Saga that is online turn two. We talk about the power level, or I've heard people talk about the power level, and reasonably so, of Saga into Soul Land. It's one of the things that 8 cast does. It's one of the reasons why in these blue cast decks Saga is so strong, is that you can have a online Saga turn 2 with disruption. That's what Force of Will plus Saga gives you. We have that. It's kind of a different way. It's discard, it's a bit more offensive, whatever. You can make your conclusions as to those differences, but it's ultimately the same thing. It's disruption alongside a turn 1 Saga, right? Sometimes we can do something as busted as Saga, Chrome Mox Imprint, play Wishclaw, play Opal, discard, right? Discard plus Tutor plus Saga. Never mind the ad nauseam openers and just like the turn 1 openers, right? Discard you, kill you. Pretty good. And these are very real plays that happen frequently that the opponent has to respect, right? Initially, people aren't going to respect this shit and they're just going to get steamrolled, which is basically the experience that I've had quite often. But I and many others have been jamming this deck enough where people are wisening up. They are kind of learning how to play against the deck. Um, but these are busted lines. It's a busted deck, and since they have to respect those busted lines, um, that's what makes this so powerful. The construct's so powerful because we can keep these construct hands, or we can. uh, The discard really allows us to set the pace. You go and discard them, and you have tutors and kills that way, but you also have constructs. And you look at their hand, and they have 3 Force of Wills and blue cards. They let the duress go, and they only have 1 Swords to Plowshares. You have multiple Sagas. Like, just beat them up. Just ignore the Force of Wills. Um, I will say I've been liking the 9 discard. I don't fault anyone for going back to 10. 10 is good if you're saying, holy shit, 9, 10, what are you talking about? You should have 6, 7, whatever, a shorter number. I think it's kind of a fundamental, um, I don't know what to call it, right? Because we're in this spot where um, it has been widely accepted that maybe duress is kind of phasing out and that discard is kind of phasing out, right? But we see it successfully in things like Doomsday. I think decks that can really leverage it, um, it's good. And Doomsday has more disruption, right? Because they have Force of Wills. Black is the only disruption we have access to. You can go with Grid, but there's a whole host of issues with playing Grid. Um, I suppose I should get into that. Like, we don't play Grid for a number of reasons. One, you can't imprint with Chromox, and that comes at a premium in this deck because we are already short on Chromox numbers. That's why we're down to 2, and it really sucks that that's not a good thing, but it's a um, we take that power level for the inconsistency, right? We're fine with that. It costs 2, so instead of 1, so it gets hit harder by ad nauseum. It's harder to cast because it costs 2 instead of 1, and we can't you can't discard Swords to Plowshares with the defense grid. The card's just not as good for us, so that's kind of unfortunate, right? So discard is what we have, it's what we need, and in my experience, if that is your only mode of disruption, you have to overload on it. You have to overload on it, right? It has been discussed, like I said, that duress is kind of phasing out, discard is kind of phasing out because card quality has increased so much, right? The more card quality is increased, I'm sure you've heard this plenty, I've said it plenty, the less potent your discard is. If you go to discard them and they have 5 cards that are a problem for you, and you have 2 discard spells, it's not going to work out, right? So ways to mitigate that problem is 1, overloading on discard, 2, playing cards that can potentially discard multiple cards, and 3, splitting your plan so that you can choose half of their hand is important and the other half not. Most Storm decks do that in such a way that they don't play creatures at all, so they don't have to deal with removal, right? They don't care about Swords to Plowshares because they don't have any creatures. They're just looking to discard Force of Will, etc., and so forth. But the cantrips and the threats, their consistency and power level and efficiency. I'm talking Murktide, I'm talking Expressive Iteration, I'm talking uh, Darcy. Just we we have to. This deck is able to discard iterations, Murktides, threats, cantrips, leaving them stranded, that sort of thing, knowing that it has more discard coming down the pipeline, right? You can ignore Force of Will initially to set them off balance, to start getting after our own construct plan or whatever it is. So I have found that overloading on discard has been very effective and it is a bit unusual overall. The sideboard is largely the same as it has been. I've been happy with it. I don't really see much of a reason to change. We have our removal suite that is kind of varied by mana cost for mostly for Chalice, but for a number of different things, as well as just kind of overlapping with what they do. We can hit enchantments with Feed the Swarm, so sometimes that overlaps. Obviously, Haywire Might is just a banger with Urza Saga, and in general, Needle. Um, it's just way too potent. There are so many different scenarios where you want it, and it's really good. We get to play Leyline because we're not necessarily a Burning Wish deck that has this big Burning Wish package. We're not a 4x or even 2x Burning Wish deck. So we have room to run Leyline of the Void. So when we're playing against these decks, like we're fast, but we're not turn 0 fast. So we can die to these uber fast Belcher-ish decks, like the Epic Gamble, like um, actual Belcher, like Oops All Spells, like Reanimator, and we need ley lines. So we're able to play those, bring in the Echo, and you'll see that in this video. I'm sure we'll wind up doing it. Bring in the Pure. We take Ad Nauseam out. We just become a Pure deck. And one of the big problems with becoming a Pure deck instead of an Ad Nauseam deck, I played so many different brews that just try to play Pure because you want to be able to play Echo. It's really good with. I would love to be able to play multiple Echoes in this deck, but you can't because of Ad Nauseam, and Ad Nauseam is too strong, so I'm going to play it. But the big problem that I have found with that, the difference between a Pure deck and an Ad Nauseam deck may seem obvious, but Pure costs 7. Ad Nauseam costs 5. So you wind up in all these scenarios where you have Pure in your deck and you go, wow, if I just had an Ad Nauseam, I have enough mana for that. But it really is just that. However, when coupled with ley lines, right, provided ley lines in play, of course, and it's not in danger of being removed, Helm of Obedience is conveniently the same amount of mana as Ad Nauseam. Helm plus Activate, same amount of mana. We still have access to that same I win mana, total mana cost button, line, whatever you want to call it. Obviously not as reliable because you have to have this in play, but it's nice to have. And then we're still able to play Pier, since we don't have to worry about Ad Nauseam anymore. We can bring Echo into our deck, right? Which is awesome. And there are some other minor differences depending on what graveyard deck, but we don't have to go into them quite that in depth. Echo also serves another purpose. We have, you'll notice, and we spent a great deal of testing, agony, uh, chatting, to really break our brain to figure out what to do with this problem, right? In mono black, you have to play your tendrils in the main because you don't have access with Burning Wish for the most part for tendrils. If you start playing multiple Burning Wish, it gets really inconsistent, awkward. You got to contort your mana base or have 2, 3, 4 Burning Wish, whatever it is. It's super awkward, right? Um, and the whole reason why this is a problem, or why you try to fix it, is because you wind up in scenarios where tendrils is in your hand. You want to Ad Naus, but you're Ad Nausing by way of Lion's Eye Diamond, and you have to discard your tendrils, or it gets discarded, or you imprint it, whatever it is. You need 2 win cons. You can't just have 1 win con. There are so many ways it can just go wrong. So you need 2, right? And sometimes you even just wind up with those 2, right? In your hand. Or one's discarded, whatever. If you have tendrils in your hand, you can't go Burning Wish for Pier and Pier. We've made this mistake before on stream against Arkan, actually, where we Piered with our Burning Wish, and we were like, shit, tendrils is in the graveyard. Pier doesn't actually do anything. We have nothing left in our deck that actually kills them except constructs, but we didn't have time to beat them down with constructs, so we lost. Whereas you can just take an Echo line and shuffle the tendrils back in. So you just got to be aware of that when you have tendrils and Burning Wish, that you have really 2 options. Either 1, kill them with like Natural Storm, Burning Wish into tendrils. Maybe you draw the Ad Naus, whatever. Or just Echo. Shuffle it all back in. Same thing if your Ad Naus is in the graveyard and you run into Burning Wish, you can Echo to shuffle it back in. Sometimes it's just a good line to take, you know? So that's kind of the different uses of that. But I think at this point, I'm just gonna shut my mouth and we will go play a league. So, alright, here we are in the first round playing against Axe 302. We have lost the die roll, and his hand is okay if it draws a black source, but I'm gonna mulligan. So if it doesn't, it's bad, and even if it does, it's only just okay. So this hand is much better. I suppose we can afford to just get rid of this Chrome Mox. Although that Chrome Mox is... maybe I wasn't supposed to. It is most likely we're going to open with Duress. We're going to name Lion's Eye Diamond because that's what you get when you play Storm this much. Yep. Well, the benefit to you, average listener, is that unless you grind a lot of Storm on Moto as well, that shouldn't happen to you. Maybe at your LGS it will, but... Alright, so... Tutor was not the greatest of draws, but could be worse. We will Duress, take Abrupt Decay. Oh boy, they're gonna hit. See, now that I'm wishing I had that Chrome Mox, right? You can at least play one of these out. We're about to get hit by a double Cabal Therapy. That's the bad news. The good news is we do have 2 swamps. So, if we draw Lion's Eye Diamond, we win. And then there are other pretty good draws. Exemplar of Strength. 4/4 for 2. For 3 Mycosynth is going to target creature you control. Whenever it attacks, you can remove 1 from it. You do gain 1 life. I mean, I guess it combos with Veteran Explorer. Yep, they hit our Wish Claws. Tutor is definitely a good card to have here. If we draw land, we're going to be super sad. If it's Saga, I guess I'll be less sad. Saga would likely beat this. Ooh, show you a Cabal Therapy. Titania, Protector of, yeah, that one. So they do have a Maelstrom Pulse. It's non-land. It does hit constructs, huh? I guess I'm just gonna go get Adnaz. It's 1 mana away from killing them. Worse against discard, but Saga, it's just too, like, we're too high chance to just get them. Right? Opponent does nothing. Doesn't even want to play this. What does that mean? I'll cast it. And I should have done this last, well, 1, 2... Yeah, I should have done this last turn, but I'll do it this turn now. Okay, Abrupt Decay, Maelstrom Pulse, I don't know. I don't think it matters here. But I will copy Vault, end of turn. That turns on Opal. Oh boy. Well, I guess that doesn't really matter. They get awkwardly rewarded for, like, holding their Exemplar, the off chance that they draw exactly Veteran Explorer. They probably have further synergy in the deck. It's unfortunately, we only have 2 swamps, but they still only have Maelstrom Pulse. We still just win if... oh, shit. I forgot to... okay, no worries. Never punished. Easy game. Right, let's make this a little more visible. I usually flip so many cards that I have to put it back where it was. Oh, we already flipped lethal. It's good enough for me. Right, play the stuff out. Play some more stuff out. How about some more stuff? And some more. This one. That one. We get attendees. And we have defeated Nic Fit in game 1. Actual factual Nic Fit. Glad we have 2 swamps. So, Leyline is not worth it. Just gotta worry about discard. I don't think in Collect Roof. I think that's it. Spell launcher. Yeah, that's it. We'll keep the Shadow Spear. I do want to be able to go fast. The rest, well, yeah, I'll just cut some of the discard. I don't think it's particularly good. Maybe I should have Cabal Therapy over Duress. I don't really want either, but... I mean, Duress can take some of the removal, which could be sometimes good. Mindbreak Trap, Green Sun Zenith is probably the, most reasonable thing that it's going to be taking, or most frequent. Okay, our hand kills Collector Roof, it discards, it has a tutor, it's got mana. This is by no means busted, but it's very well rounded, so I will keep. Cabal Therapy is not going to get us. Are they going to clean up, or are they just... No. They just hit one by accident. Okay. What's Thoughtseize? Funny that Slaughter Pact is actually... Oh, look at that, huh? Slaughter Pact is just a ritual with Veteran Explorer on board? That's crazy. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's absolutely crazy. We might actually wind up making use of that. So we take the trap here. It's because we already have the answer for whatever Green Sun Zenith would get. Let's say Cobalt Therapy would be pretty bad for us right now. But it's only going to hit one thing, then they'd have to hit Slaughter Pact. Then they'd be able to Zenith for Collect Roof, and we'd be in a sticky spot. But I'm not even joking when I say this is going to be a ritual for us. There's a good chance this is going to be a ritual for us, and we're going to kill them on the same turn. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are one shy. No, we actually have it. We actually just have it. Do we have perfect information somehow? How did this happen? Thoughtseized. Oh, right, they played a Bayou. So they do have one unknown. But we can go Slaughter Pack, target Explorer, get our 2 swamps, play City. 3, 4, 5 mana. 6, 7 mana, right? You can spin the Wishclaw to get a Lion's Eye Diamond. By spinning it, I mean you're not going anywhere, it's mana neutral. But that makes it so that you can use your Infernal Tutor. Although I guess none of that is necessarily necessary because we can just go Hellbent, then cast Infernal Tutor for LED. Effectively still going +1 mana in the same way. So either way, as long as they don't have Trap, we'll be good. Classic, Slaughter Pact slash, they get Endurance, but whatever. Slaughter Pact as Dark Ritual. If they drew Mindbreak Trap, I will lose it. I'll just lose it. I guess I should get Lion's Eye Diamonds. No, that doesn't make sense. We're fine. It's not like they're bouncing Wishclaw. Well, no, it does make sense. So if we play Wishclaw, right, and we go with the, we can just Infernal Tutor to get LED. Well, with LED on the stack, if they go in, or with Infernal Tutor on the stack, if they go in, like, say they drew an Abrupt Decay and they go to kill our Wishclaw, well, we have to use it in response. And then Infernal Tutor will only be able to copy whatever we're searching for. So what I'm going to do instead is what I had originally mentioned as a line, because it still remains as a line, is just get the LED with the Wishclaw, and then go for it. Don't do it, OP. I will lose it. Okay. Good. Alright, opponent is dead. Dead, 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 dead. Imprint, cast Dark Ritual, cast Dark Ritual, cast Cobalt Therapy. Just in case they misclicked, they drew another Veteran Explorer. They can Endurance, play some things out, play some more things out. Let's just go. We'll go kill them. Get the tenders and get them. Sent a message. They said GG's. GG's. Alright, I'll see you in the second round. Alright, we're back. Round 2 against Roto Murtis 81. And I'm going to keep this. We lost the die roll again. But yeah, this is a reasonable hand. We got some discard. We got a basic. Tutor. A little too much discard, but yeah, that's losing the die roll for you. If we draw Saga, we can beat it. Did not draw Saga. Think we still want to do this. Take Walking Ballista, and then next turn we can duress the touch. Still just hoping to draw Saga. Hoping and a wishing. Ancient Tomb into play, take the touch. Pass it over. Just gotta hope they don't draw an initiative creature and we draw Saga. We draw Saga, we're actually solidly ahead. Burning Wish is also something that can get us out of this. But we can't really Wishclaw for Burning Wish for. I think it's just too many turn cycles. I don't even think I want to put this Wishclaw into play. I'd rather have the 2 life. Uh-oh. That turns up the clock. Basically need Saga, like, this turn. They took Cabal. That's crazy. That's cray. Okay. We're gonna take 5, go to 7. Take 5, go to 7. We feed, take 3 more, go to 4. I don't think this is gonna work out. Play land and pass. The rest does not help. Can't use Ancient Tomb. And then we go to 1, so we don't have a draw after that. Alright, well, we drew very poorly. We just drew a bunch more discard. That's okay. So we want these. We want these. Cut some of the discard. Some bauble. One of the Cabal rituals. Okay, we have 3 of our removal cards. This hand is actually pretty good. Let's keep rid of a dark ritual. You have to go turn 1 discard. Not with a turn 1 Saga. I mean, we could, but I don't think it would be great. We could try and risk it, but they also mill to 5. That sees you. We could take a Miria's Call, but then a Soul Land, they're just kind of online. I think we're just supposed to take the most threatening thing, which is Dungeoneer. It's one of the only cards that can pull ahead of Saga. Petal, Cavern, Pass. Alright, land is actually an excellent draw. Now we have an active Saga incoming. If they want to touch my LED, go for it. Fine with that. Spellbinder, also not a big deal. Didn't need it anyways. They have perfect information. I mean, them having a creature is better than them touching my LED, but I'm still fine with this. Play Mycosynth. Got a lot of LEDs if we want them. Holy shit. We'll have 4 LEDs next turn if we wanted them. Alright, make a thing. We'll use touch to flicker one of our things. That's okay. We're gonna have 2 things. Shadow Spear. Play a swamp. Play out the petal. And... oh, they're gonna flicker it either way, right? Yeah, they're gonna flicker it either way. There's no use in equipping. I would like to find some more gas. We could have, and maybe we should have, gotten a bauble so that we could copy them with these mycosynths. They have 1 card and it's unknown. Sure. It's a Miri's Call. Let's equip. Now, obviously, we're winning this race, and then we can start copying artifacts so that this gets even bigger. Even an initiative threat, I don't think really gets them there here. Of course, they do draw it. They get to untap this or only untap a creature. Yeah, they can untap any creature. It's not a great draw. I don't care, I'm gonna play it. They don't have blocks though. So they have no cards in hand. Now, so copy LED, copy Petal. Yeah, I mean, if we draw Ad Nauseam itself, we're still not gonna have enough, but I don't want to convert all my mana into Lions Eye Diamonds. I don't get to take the initiative. Forgetting about that. We already have both of our swamps, but still pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and activate Shadow Spear. Doesn't have hexproof, doesn't have hexproof. Doubly so. They have to leave back a blocker. It's pretty sweet. Imagine they're gonna go down the Lost Well. Loran, are you kidding? I think that was literally the best draw for them. Brutal. Well, it doesn't matter. Just does not matter. Honestly, we kind of deserved that one. After their top deck of Initiative into Loran, then we hadn't drawn anything yet, so... okay. Now we want even less discard. And... let's try this. Okay, so they have mulligan to 6. We are definitely keeping this. We have Sagas, and if they stumble with nothing disruptive, we are very close to a turn 1. So they mulled to 5. Petal. So turn 1 Archon, which is probably not going to beat this. I would like a land that is not a Saga. Thank you, deck. Yeah, now imprint that and pass. Because they come into play tapped, so despite having a Chrome Mox, we still can't play Saga turn 1. But since we have the Chrome Mox, we can play it turn 2. Which if we didn't have the Chrome Mox, we wouldn't be able to. And then when the Saga pops off, we're just going to bounce this and kill them. Actually, it's probably going to take the second Saga, because they're not going to have blue mana. I'm going to play Bobble, so we can draw more cards, because if we just draw one of our removal pieces, we can just kill it and kill them. So take a peek. Now they got a white plume, but they have no lands, or LEDs, dark rituals, holy crap. Let's play another Saga, play an artifact. Nice Archon, though. Like, we don't even need all this, we really don't. The drawing the vault and having we could have molted 2, kept 2 Sagas, drawn vault, and that would have been GG. But yeah, we're 2-0. See you in round 3. Alright, here we are in round 3 playing against Beast, and for the 3rd time in a row we have lost the die roll. And our hand is a little bit suspect, but I'm actually gonna keep it. Basically on the strength of a bobble. Blue deck, so that's good. Delver, less good for us. It did mulligan, so that helps. I was gonna say, if we really want to land, Black Source would be perfect. Swamp would have been better against them, but that's alright. I won't get too picky. We can even bobble. I like this. Force a Will. Yeah. It's the one I would have named anyways, but let's take Force of Will. And they have a Force of Negation. We can Cabal Therapy Delver right now. I think we're supposed to. And then next turn we can duress the Force of Negation, or at some point we can duress the Force of Negation, and hopefully we can get out a lethal ad nauseam before this Delver kills us. Every turn it doesn't flip, our chances are much, much better. That was an extremely good draw. I think I'll take this opportunity to play Wishclaw around Daze. We have enough for ad nauseam. We need one more mana so that we can duress them. If we don't hit it, we can just play another Wishclaw. It's so good for us. That might be a Wasteland. No, they would have drawn it. It's probably just another creature. Alright, they have 2 cards. Force of Negation is up. That's 3, 4, 5, 7. We could duress this turn and then just hope that they don't draw into more permission, but I think that's a little bit risky. Paying life is also risky, but I think it's better. And then the question is, do we play Infernal Tutor and copy LED, or do we just play another Wishclaw? This is worth more mana, getting another LED, whereas getting a Wishclaw into play is worth 2 mana, because you still have to activate it in the next turn to get LED, so it's +2. Whereas this, we just get to put it into our hand. And now we can play around pretty much any amount of soft permission. Just gotta hope that they don't have... And they're only gonna have 3 cards. We know they have Force of Negation. We need the other 2 to not be blue card and Force. Alright, that makes it so that that's not possible. But now we can't cast Duress. Interesting. Easy game. I will say, we hadn't drawn a Black Source in a little while, so we were about due. So now we Duress. That's crazy. They actually had another Force, but let's see if we can get there now. Not nearly enough Storm for natural. I'm just trying to decide. I don't think I want to pay the 2. We have 1 artifact, so we're close to Metalcraft. I think the 2 life is more important. Shadow Spear is not a good start. Dark Ritual is good. Land is good. Opal's good. Tutors, okay, we just need more mana now. Duress, Opal's good, Opal's good. Tutor, huh? Well, now we gotta figure we can use Ancient Tomb. I think we have enough. So 2, 3, 4, land 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, more than enough. So we do not want to repeat. Play some baubles. Opal. Well, yeah, we don't have a land drop, so land is not good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we only just barely have enough mana. But that's okay. Enough is enough, right? Get them with the tendies. There were certainly a few things that had to go right there to win that game, and they did. We needed to draw Black Source, we did. We needed them to not flip Delver, they did for 3 turns in a row. To be fair, we had a kill before. I think we could have stopped earlier. So we could have gone down a little more in life. So like say Delver flipped on the last one, I think we would have been okay. Maybe even the last 2. I don't know, I'd have to look at it again. Alright, so Delver, I just want Needle. We'll come off a Cabal Ritual. Needle's good for Wasteland. Okay, so this hand is very close to a kill. It's missing some pieces and protection, but I'm going to try to lean on this Bauble. This is a risky one, but the power level is so high. Okay, I'll do nothing for a turn. Another basic island. So they're mono blue? Yeah. Sharded course? Ridiculous. Alright. Come on, Black Source. Alright. No, that wasn't good. Play out a Pel. We don't have to worry about Meltdown. We do have to worry about um um counterbalance. But I think I'm more worried about Wasteland. Could dress them now, but I'm not gonna. Gotcha. Aw. Wah. Okay, we are officially in trouble. Yep, I'm gonna run this out there. And we drew the actual worst draw on the deck. Because now we have both of our win cons in hand. We can't peer. We can't add Naws because then they'd both be in the graveyard. We have to either echo or find some sort of natural win with tendrils, which is not impossible. We need like another ritual or another LED. Saga's not bad. At least it's a land. Casting a spell or just playing around. Okay. Okay. Returns chart a course. Draws 2. Plays a Delver. That is a great draw. We need another colored source though. We gotta wait for this Saga. But at least that makes it so that we can get one with this. I guess Wish Clock could, but it would be very costly. Flip and reveal Ponder. Hit us for 6, put Brainstorm in their hand. They've drawn a ton of cards. Our best draw is probably Dark Ritual. Petal or Opal's really good. LED's fine. Discard's fine. But we might be able to pull off a Lethal Tendrils. Or we might be able to do like a mini Tendrils this turn and then another one with Burning Wish. Depending on how it pans out. It's a Murktide. Just another one of those. Okay. Lots of whales. Thoughtseize is fine. Let's tap this. Just trying to decide Chromox or Opal. If all this goes south, we're going to want Chromox instead of Opal. I also might actually want to get Hellbent. Not really. Hellbent doesn't do anything for us when we have Tendrils and Burning Wish. So I'll just get Opal. Have to start with Dark Ritual. They choose to force this, we're probably in trouble. They did. Alright. We'll pass. We go to 9. They draw a bunch more cards. No Lightning Bolt. They're mono blue. Another Shard, of course. They Ponder shuffled. Ponder shuffle, Shard, of course. Ponder no shuffle. 6 cards in hand. It was an okay draw. Any mana really was kind of keeps us in it there. Now we can duress. Minor misstep. I would imagine they have more permission, but we do have a out. Yep. Okay. Game 3 it is. So it's very good news that we don't have to worry about Meltdown. So honestly, we lost that on the weakness of our hand and my willingness to, for some reason, keep it. This hand is pretty good. Even better if this were a artifact land. Alright, they mulliganed, and they're getting duressed. I guess yeah, I'll take the days. Like, sure, I can play around it, but, there's a lot of draws that just have us going for it next turn, so I may as well take the thing that actually interacts. Well, alright, we get to get on board and take the thing that actually changes their hand. Now they can play Spell Dancer, but then they don't have Force. And then, at best, well, they drew Ponder, that's pretty good. But we still have this Cabal Therapy. Unless they ponder into Force Negation. They shuffled. So they showed us one of the unknown cards. Oh, wait, that doesn't make sense. So we knew their hand, and they played an unknown card. They should only have... I feel like this is wrong. I don't know. That was a good draw. So do we just name Spell Dancer? Because if it's a force, then we're still fine. If it's like a fluster, it's gonna be annoying. But we can probably play around it. We'll just take a turn. 2 deltas and a Spell Dancer. Oh my goodness. Why wouldn't you play? Okay. Righty. Let's go get the Adnos. And flippity bippity. Bippity bop. Even if this isn't lethal, I'm not taking a chance. But I think it is. Yeah, we have a Wish Claw. We have Threshold. Could have even gotten another Cabal Ritual, but... Or no, we couldn't have. We bored one out in this matchup. We know they're empty-handed, though. So now we just get to play Wish Claw. Activate. And get them. Easy game. Alright, the opponent is dead. So we are 3-0. See you in the 4th round. Alright, here we are in round 4. We're against I Kick Squirrels. That's very mean. They play Reanimator too, so it's no wonder. But we have, for the 4th time now in a row, lost the die roll. We have won 3 times though, so maybe there's something to it. Against Reanimator, it's like, I don't know. Are they keeping? They're keeping on 7. They're keeping on 7. I think this is just too slow. As much as it hurts a lot to mulligan against this card. I mean, obviously it's bad. If it draws a black source, it can kill turn 2. I'll keep. I will keep. It's pretty bad, but I don't think anything on 5 is going to get there. It's very different than when you're playing the Epic Gamble, where you're just mulliganing on the draw for LED Echo. They just went Swamp Pass. And we hit the black source, so we're 1 shy. At least we get to get our LED out there. And now, if their line only includes discarding us once, we have a route to victory. But yeah, this had turn 1 potential if it drew Petal, or Chrome Mox, or LED. No, I'm sorry. It needed a black source, so LED wouldn't do it, because then we wouldn't have a black source. But Petal Chrome Mox are a way of getting a black source and getting us up 1 mana. Hopefully it's Reanimate, because then we have a real chance. It is. Okay. Oh, boy. That's a child. That is a child. They kick squirrels. They also sacrifice children. Okay, ritual. Thutsies. Another child. They're certainly going off here. They have 38 cards in their hand. Another ritual, petal, looting. They're down to 6 cards in their library. Shallow grave. Okay. Shallow grave. And that'll do it. Get attacked by 2 Archons. They go down to 2 cards themselves. And reanimate a child. Alright, well played. Alright, game 2. This opponent and I have played many a times before. We are still very favored. We're obviously favored this game. You're even more favored against Reanimator game 2 because they're not expecting this. However, like I said, this opponent is expecting it. They know about it. We are still favored, and I would say we're even favored to win too. Not that it's a guarantee, I do not mean to say that. I just say in my experience, We win more often, even from this position. Oops. Alright. No ley line. Not a good hand at all. Sand. It's also not great. This hand is fantastic. Do I even just want 3 lands to get our Saga going? No, so we want Leyline, we want Saga. We want at least 1 land, maybe 2. And the Wishclaw, yes. Because then we can get LED, copy it, and kill them with Helm. We don't necessarily need that LED in our hand. They're on 7 cards. Don't really care about that card. I could do something. Let's play... There's still pressure to play Saga first. Just to get Haywire Might into play as soon as possible. To prevent Serenity. It's awkward though, because we can't play Wishclaw on turn 2. So I think I'll play Vault. Feels dicey. I'd feel a lot better if they weren't on 7. Or if they didn't already know that we have these. Very funny deck. Very funny. I could just have Wear Tear. Nope. We could be working towards Show and Tell. So discard would be nice. That was not good. 2 terrible draws. Could play Wishclaw, but I want to make tokens at this point. Now, depending on what they put in with Show and Tell, because they are restricted to whatever's in their hand, we have Aether Spellbomb. And that is why we have the card in our deck, which is also why I want to make tokens and not rely upon my Saga activation to win us the game. That's good news. Shallow Grave, Reanimate. Let's make a thing. Still gonna make a thing. Opposition Agent would be brutal. Yeah, I'll get Spellbomb. I also copy Spellbomb with the Mycosynth. Or they're gonna hardcast something. We have 6 mana in play. We're getting close to a hardcast Archon. Ooh, that's a good draw. We gotta pay an extra and take ourselves off of Spellbomb mana. I think it's worth it. Well, they're trying to cast Chancellor. So they didn't discard it with looting. I think they have Archon, though. Atraxa. Black, blue, white, and green. Total of 6. Wait, why didn't they cast Atraxa? 4, 5, 6. Blue, black. Oh, it's 7. Count, you idiot. They're so close. Okay, so they have 6, so they need 2 more. 1 more for Chancellor, but it has to be a white source. Obviously, we're taking Atraxa. And it gets exiled because Leyline's in play. Get to attack. Now they have 1 draw. They draw something to cast Archon. It's fine. We can just bounce it. Okay, game 3. Yeah, I will keep this. They mulligan to 6. We keep. They mulligan to 5. Leyline is in. They're hoping they don't discard us, but that's probably what they're doing. Looting. It's good for us. Reanimate and Entomb are gone. Play Petal, 2 cards in hand. Here, not exactly the draw we were looking for, huh? Let's dress them. We get Serenity in there? No. I guess I take Looting. It feels good to if we leave them with Looting, because then they always go down a card when they use it, but it's not, like, Dark Ritual can get them to hardcast shenanigans, but I'm still going to take Looting. And I am going to Bauble. We have literally all 3, like, win cons, right? Our 2 actual win cons, and then our huge mana spell that we would search for with tutors. I mean, this is a good one to have. The other 2, a little bit suspect. Let's oops. Take the ritual. There's an argument to taking Entomb. If they do kill Leyline, it's definitely the card that you don't want them to have. Alright. Obviously, also a really bad draw. I mean, I can't complain because we're still way ahead, but I will. How's that? Alright, they got a land. Alright, we hit a Saga. Helm kills them next turn, but if they do actually have Wear Tear, and they have Entomb in their hand, and they draw Reanimate, or even just Wear Tear, makes it so Helm doesn't really... I'm sure I'm still supposed to just play it, right? It feels crazy not to. I was gonna say the other play would be to cast the other Leyline. I'd rather just put them on it. Thinning their deck. And we got the GGs in the chat. GGs indeed. We are 4-0 on to the trophy match. See you in the final round. Okay. Final round. We finally won a die roll. We're playing against SFZ. We would like to play first. We have a slow but Sagalicious hand with a redraw. TMG is Mycosynth Gardens. TMG can also cycle eventually, copying a bauble. I will keep it. It is certainly on the slower side. What we can do is hold off on our bauble. We can turn one Saga. So I'm going to play turn one Saga. Play these out. They are F6'd. And then next turn we can play Vault of Whispers. And it turns our Opal on. And we can activate Saga. We don't want to see Wasteland. We don't want to see that land. Oh, they're passing though. Okay, we desperately need discard. I think I have to activate Bauble. I cannot believe we are alive right now. I'm activating. They have another land incoming. Discard, please. Discard, please. That's not good. Okay, we're probably dead. And tapped. That's untapped. And we're dead. We are dead indeed. Yikes. And Moto's not going to let us look. Alright, game 2. Let's go Leyline. You need Haywire Mites for Leyline of Sanctity. Needle shuts off half their combo. Don't need Spell Bomb. I want Helm. I want Pier. I want Echo. I don't think Feed the Swarm is necessary. So Adnos comes out. Burning Wish comes out. Shadow Spear comes out. Cabal Ritual comes out. Chromox comes out. Bauble. A little bit of mana. Usually I trim some discard, but, well, yeah, I'm gonna. Because I'll Leyline of Sanctity. Maybe I do want to go faster. You definitely want some discard, because if they don't have Leyline, it's really good. But you don't want so much discard that Leyline of Sanctity just wrecks you. Can't really keep hands like this. You need Leyline. Leyline, Saga, this is perfect. Plus a discard. Yes, please. Alright, hopefully they don't have Leyline. We can kind of play around Force of Vigor. We play Petal, Bauble, Opal. Like we can still get our Thoughtseize through, and Saga won't get blown up. So they mulled a 5. They're F6. So no Force of Vigor, no Leyline of Sanctity. We get to Thoughtseize them. We have an active Saga. We are happy. We're definitely happy. So realistically, what do I actually want to take since Leyline's in play? I don't really care about Thoughtseize. They have to Force of Vigor. They have 2 green cards, so I can't. No use taking that. Or they have to Foundation Breaker, which they've got a decent amount of mana for all that. I think I just take their thing. Honestly, there's not too much you can do with this card in this spot. Okay, we want to hope to draw some sort of mana, preferably permanent, but as it stands, we can at least make 1 token. Interesting. So I'm going to play that. We can still make 1 token, just not this turn cycle. And we get to draw our next card first. Or we can just get Helm and kill them. I suppose we could have taken Summoner's Pact, because we know they're going to play this as a land. And then that makes Force of Vigor worse. Haywire Might. Okay. 4, 5, 6. 6 is the magic number. Yeah. Just going to go for it. Force of Vigor is the only thing that gets us here. Play Helm. The irony is that their deck wins by decking themselves, and now we just beat them by decking them? Oh, they let us do it. Because they must have been F6. Okay, so They do have Force of Vigors. That's 1, 2, 4 Force of Vigors. 1. I'm actually just gonna take a snapshot of this. They still have Pact of Negation, which is weird. What did they trim on? Looks like they trimmed on Cabal Ritual. I don't see any. I see 1 Cabal Ritual. See Thoughtseizes, Cabal Therapy. Alright. So there's 1 Foundation Breaker, 4 Force of Vigor. We didn't see Leyline of Sanctity. Although we're on the draw, so we may still not really want that much discard. Yeah, I'll just run it back. This is for all the marbles. We have a very aggressive hand, but we have to mold the Leyline. They did mulligan, which is good for us. We did not hit Leyline. They kept on 6. Alright, we hit it, and we have a somewhat reasonable hand. Probably want to bottom an Opal and Infernal Tutor. Get that one in there. Oh, we didn't need these Haywire Mites, huh? Since we know there's no Leyline of Sanctity. So of course we draw another one. Well, I'm gonna run it out there. It's an attacker. No Force of Vigor just yet. Oh wait. They do go down to 4 cards. It feels like they have it. Yep, they do. Okie doke. We are in trouble. Oh, that's a great draw. Definitely a great draw. Let's play another Might. I guess I'll pass. Oh no! That's a lot of mana. And we're dead. Well, we forewarned. We came super close, but that is the ball game. Let's see if they brought in Leyline of Sanctity. They did. Okay. They just didn't have it on the draw. I guess that makes sense. They got us. Darn, darn, darn. Of course. We keep it, remember? Slow Saga hand. And, we're playing against Oopsal spells. And they did give us a turn, but they had a turn too. So let's go back to the list. Okay, so it felt very smooth, as always. This deck has really been performing basically just as you saw here, which is to say, very smoothly, tends to execute his game plan consistently, and just have that sidestep of being able to beat down with Sagas, as well as all the modality that Saga provides. Mycosynth has felt great. We didn't really activate it all that much there, but for the most part, the card has felt good. But I guess so. The matchup's what? Nic Fit? Yeah, we just rolled over Nic Fit. White Initiative, that was kind of par for the course for that match. Obviously, you can lose it, but most of the time we're just able to beat them because of Saga. Played against Delver, which usually is a bit more of a match. Not to say it wasn't a match, but like the game that we lost against them was pretty much because we kept a really risky hand and it didn't pay off. But otherwise, it's kind of a battle to just like dodge Meltdown and Wasteland, and kind of a dance around that. That's what the game revolves around against Delver. But I still have felt favored against them. It's just more of a game than more worries than that match was. And then what else did we play? Reanimator. So even after losing the first game, it's just so difficult for them to deal with not only Leyline, but a reasonable clock through Saga, and then being able to kind of box them in with Haywire Might and Spellbomb. It's a pretty good matchup for us. And then Oops All Spells is it really depends, right? If we win the die roll, and which we did, it was the only die roll that we did win. But typically we have hands that either have discard or are faster. So on average, our opponent doing nothing and giving us a second turn, they're either going to be dead, or they're at least going to get discarded, in which case we're going to have more time. But we kept kind of a dicey, slow. It was an Urza Saga, lands, mana, and a bauble. And still, they gave us a turn, and we didn't have a discard spell off the top two. So, is what it is. Well, yeah, it was a pretty smooth league. Hope you had a good time. I did, and I'll see you in the next one.